Rasheed, Kidwai, what was with Rahul Gandhi coming and going? He comes in late after the Prime Minister starts speaking, at least 30 minutes after the PM had started speaking. Midway they do a walkout. Was that walkout warranted? And if he's there, then why isn't he there for the full speech? Why is it that he's so whimsical about whether he'll be there during the speech or not?
Right, Rahul. Ideally, he should have been there throughout that period, and particularly when Prime Minister was speaking. But at the same time, the same yardsticks apply to the Prime Minister. When the no confidence motion was introduced by Gaurav Gogoi, the Prime Minister was not there. So, me and Rahul Srivastava, we have covered a lot of sessions in Parliament. I don't remember a precedence when the no trust motion was moved and the Prime Minister in question was not there.
Okay, Jivel, do you want to respond to that? That the Prime Minister was there during Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary's speech, at least for a part of it, but not there when Gaurav Gogoi started speaking, not there when Rahul Gandhi was speaking. Shouldn't he have been there for longer, listening to what the others had to say, like the Home Minister was?
I think the Prime Minister said one very important point.
Double standards.
Leading the Congress party in the Lok Sabha and in the Rajya Sabha. And there is an official leader, there is an unofficial
That's
leader.
a very good
Whose
point.
question is that?
No, one second. First, let
GVL.
Okay, if everybody speaks at the same time, then I'm going to be, and the camera can't stick to me, right? I can't do an Om Birla. So allow me to moderate. Let GVL respond to the question about the Prime Minister not being there when Gaurav Gogoi was speaking or Rahul Gandhi was speaking. Respond, GVL.
No, the convention in Parliament, I think if somebody doesn't know parliamentary conventions, they might make such comments. But people who understand conventions, generally it is when the LOP, when the leader of the opposition speaks, the Prime Minister usually is present in the House. Rest of the time, obviously, when he is to respond, he has to prepare himself, listen to many of these speeches. He was there when Adhir Ranjan spoke because he's the, whether he is a figurehead or a nominal opposition leader, I don't know. But he is
no,
the
but that's
LOP
a very important point. Supriya Shene, the Congress must explain if Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary is still the leader of the opposition, leader of the party in the Lok Sabha, why wasn't he allowed to speak? The BJP gave him time to speak from their quota of time.
So Rahul Kanwal, Amit Shah and Narendra Modi are not going to decide who the speakers of the Congress party will be, with all due respect to all three of you. I think it will be decided by us. That's point number one. Point number two, the double speak is astounding. You use the word whimsical for Rahul Gandhi. The Prime Minister has made the first appearance while the Parliament is in session. The first appearance during this Parliament monsoon session in the Lok Sabha or in the Rajya Sabha for the first time today. He chose not to come even in the last 3 days when the no confidence motion was moved against his government to hold him accountable for Manipur. He chose not to speak on Manipur for 78 days, and you choose to call Rahul Gandhi whimsical. That's high standards of double speak, if I may say so. I want to just say two things. We want to see what the Prime Minister is capable of. A Prime Minister drunk on power is capable of negating a Supreme Court order that says that the Chief Election Commissioner or the Election Commissioners should be appointed by a panel of Leader of the Opposition, the Prime Minister and the Chief Justice. He negates it by moving a bill.
Let me spend a moment on that with Rahul Srivastava. What's the thinking in the government? Why have they brought this bill which will change how Election Commissioners and Chief Election Commissioners are appointed?
Rahul, the court order said that there should be a mechanism of a panel to appoint the EC and CEC till there is a law created by the Parliament in accordance to the Constitution, Article 324. And that's what the government is doing. It is creating. So it was not that the court has said that this is the new framework and you can't do anything else. Court said, because till now it was an official order through which the ECs were appointed.
No, but it's a skewed panel. If you got one minister, the Prime Minister and the leader of the opposition.
The Supreme Court mandated it. The point is, court said there is no fixed parliamentary law and legislation for the appointment of the ECs.
No, but it's also about propriety. GVL Narasimha Rao, just before elections, not that this particular election commissioner changes before the 2024 election. That change only happens with Rajiv Kumar in 2025 February. So Rajiv Kumar is the 25th election commissioner appointed on the 15th of May 2022. He stays till 2025 February, so he will run the 2024 elections. But just in a matter of propriety, it doesn't seem appropriate. Why change what the Supreme Court has come up with?
Can I just speak on that very quickly?
No, it's too rich for the Congress party It's too rich for them to make such comments. I think you know how election commissioners were appointed during the Congress regime. I think it's too rich for them. I think they will if they don't want to hear how they have really twisted this
No, that's not the point. That again is
Right.
what
How
about
they have
No, there's no
used it for their
equivalence here.
political
Hush,
agenda.
hush, Madhusudan
But today-
Gupta.
No,
It's about propriety.
No,
Sir, it's
Rahul,
about
it's very
propriety.
Rahul,
You ask 90% of the people who are watching.
Since the BJP is so sure-footed of its victory, it should be seen. Elections are something which are very
Okay,
sacred.
let Harsh speak. 90% of the viewers who are watching, including those who might support and vote for the BJP, would rather that there be a panel which is fair, which isn't skewed towards the
Rahul,
government, than have one which is skewed towards the government, which picks your election commissioners. Harsh.
100% of the people will want fair panel. The question is what constitutes a fair panel. For 75 years, a certain way the election commissioners were appointed. For the Supreme Court to suddenly come out of the blue and say this is how it will be done henceforth, that is actually an infringement of propriety. There's a division of powers. The judiciary, the legislative, the executive are all co-equal branches of government. The judiciary does not lord over the other two branches of government. So let us go back to first principles. And just because the Supreme Court has said something, now in procedural propriety, the government has responded by saying, okay, we will draft this. But for the Supreme Court to have done this in the first place is to basically impugn the integrity of this particular government and say, so far all elections are fair. Right now, despite more EVMs, these elections are not going to be fair. I think that was
No, that's
actually
not what the Supreme
breaking
Court
of
is saying.
propriety.
Sorry, the Supreme Court is saying that there must be a person who's not from the government or the opposition who's sitting on that panel.
Why now? Why now? Why not earlier? That's the question. I understand what you're saying.
Well, that 75 years that my friend is referring
What
to,
is
the
the-
75
what is
years,
the local
it
standard
included
of the
appointment of
Supreme
TN
Court to
session
suddenly come up?
And
by
Naveen Chawla.
Rajiv Gandhi
No,
government.
but Rashid, the
I
point
please
is
come in?
that
No,
this,
we
why,
must also acknowledge-
no,
we
Rashid,
must
one thing.
acknowledge TN Sessions'
Why
role
was this
also.
kind of accountability or a transparent system not thought about 50 years ago? Why did
Should
you
have
keep?
been.
Why did? See, this is what I say. In a
Can I
democracy,
please
you
come
create
in?
bad practices; they become precedences.
But
Okay,
Rahul,
so-
sir, just one submission. I am just saying that why, when we have so
Can
much
I
faith
please
in
come in?
democracy, why should we create an element of doubt by bringing these kind of things?
Okay,
Why
let
is there
Supriya
some-
Shrinit
why
come
is
in
there not be transparency?
and make her
Can I
argument.
please
I'm also
come
running
in?
out of time, so we're now at the fag end of this debate. Supriya, go for it.
So for all the people who are questioning why now, why so, TN Session was not raided by India's enforcement agencies, even though some thought he was very harsh. But election commissioners in India who gave a negative ruling with the Prime Minister having crossed some boundaries with Model Code of Conduct were not just raided, their families were raided, their sons and daughters who are functionaries in the government were raided. And I'm talking about Ashok Lavasa, who mysteriously went to, I think he went to Exim Bank or some such posting while he
ADB
was
in
the election
Philippines.
commissioner. That is why justice is to be seen and to be delivered. And there is a huge difference. The reality is that the Modi government arm twists in its institutions. It arm twists something as simple as Sansad TV. And GVL Narasimha Rao, unlike you, I don't do whataboutery. I'm throwing facts at you. 15 minutes, 42 seconds he spoke. 11 minutes, 8
No, all
seconds
the
of their
time you do
back. I
that
saw
only.
Om Birla on screen. Refute that argument
Okay,
and come prepared
I'm
with
running
it.
out of time.
Refute that
Final
argument
words,
if you have
Harsh
any data on
Madhusudan
that.
Gupta. How does this impact the battle for 2024?
Why?
Does it
Because
at
he's a
all?
BJP
Harsh.
supporter?
No, I think the Prime
Why should
Minister
he
has
speak last?
basically ignored the no confidence motion and said this is agenda for development. India will develop by 2047 and this period will be remembered for the next
Scared Prime
1,000
Minister,
years.
he's an arrogant
And I think
Prime
that
Minister,
is
he's
what
a
will be the
clueless
take.
Prime Minister who doesn't know what's happening
Okay,
in the
let him
country.
speak. Let Harsh
So
speak.
drunk on
Fade it
power
down.
and
Let
so
Harsh
detached.
speak.
For the next 1,000 years, these next 25 years will be remembered. He confidently spoke of India becoming the third largest economy in the world very soon, and then becoming a developed nation by 2047. The reality is the opposition has no policy agenda, nothing that unifies them except Modi Hatao. And that is what came through in the speech.